Yeah, I don't know what the total is, but pretty good
I'd
number.
like to call this meeting to order. This is the regular meeting of the City Council of the City of Cottonwood, Arizona, held on March 19th, 2013, at 6 p.m. at the Public Safety Building. Deputy Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilmember Alinsky.
Here.
Councilmember Howergy.
Here.
Councilmember Dowling.
Here.
Councilmember Norman.
Here.
Vice Mayor Pfeiffer.
Here.
Mayor Jones.
Here.
And Councilmember Pratt's absent.
Okay, thank you very much. The next item is the Pledge of Allegiance, and tonight we have Lisa Richards from the CASA with us to say the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, the next item is a brief summary of current events by the mayor, city council, and/or city manager. The public body does not propose, discuss, deliberate, or take legal action on any matter brought up during this summary unless the specific matter is properly noticed for legal action. Mr. Bartosh.
Madam Mayor, council members, I'm pleased to report that our Historic Preservation Commission passed a historic preservation ordinance, which will soon be going to the Planning and Zoning Commission and then coming to the council for consideration. If you haven't noticed, our work on Railroad Wash is underway, which is on Willard, south side of Willard near Highway 89A, behind the medical center. And we're putting in a large pipe in there to help the flood control a little bit better. We also will see the beginning of the demolition of the old maintenance building behind City Hall next week, if in case you see anything. And last but not least, the City of Scottsdale is sponsoring the Hero to Hired mobile job store at the Cottonwood Public Safety Building on Monday, March 25th. The Hero to Hired is a program that connects National Guard members and military reservists with meaningful employment. The mobile job store is an extension of the H2H program. The mobile job store is a self-contained truck that houses computer stations that connect to the H2H jobs website. And they'll also have staff on site to help with people who are looking for jobs. Again, military, reservists, guardsmen, those kind of things. And actually Luke Septon's here tonight, and after his presentation, he's got some additional information on that program as well. That's it, Madam Mayor.
Thank you very much. Council members? Any activities?
Yes. I just wanted to remind everybody about the Welcome Home Vietnam Vets. I happened to be at Allegra when Hezekiah was picking these up today, and they were drawn by a 9th grader at Mingus with no art classes, and it's a beautiful poster, so I'm going to pass it down the table if you want to pass it around the room. It's the winning poster for the program that's going on. They're going to bring the wall in on the 27th. The 28th, it'll be open 24 hours a day for vets and families and children and people that want to find out what it's all about. So we welcome everybody to be there. The chamber and all those members on there as sponsors have worked very hard, and it's going to be a really large event. So I encourage you to be there. Thank you.
Okay, and that's the next item on our agenda, so we'll have Beetle Bailey come up in just a moment. I just want a quick run through a couple things myself. On Saturday, March 23rd, at Verde River Growers, we're going to have the Alternative Plant Expo 2013. It starts at 9 a.m. with Emerson Jones from Verde River Growers giving a presentation. And then we'll have Jeff Shalau from the University of Arizona Cooperative Extension at 10. At 11, we'll have Gail Morris from the Southwest Monarch Study. That should be interesting, butterflies. From 12 to 1, there will be a site tour of Verde River growers. From 1 to 2 p.m. will be the mayor's slot, and in that slot, City Clerk Marianne Jimenez, who has recently taken over as manager of the Cottonwood Community Garden, will be giving her presentation on square foot gardening. At 2 p.m., Kresta Faborg of the NRCS will talk about Know What You've Got with the backyard inventory. And from 3 to 4, Patty West from the Northern Arizona University will talk about uses of native plants. And then the next day, the Verde Thumbs Garden Club will be presenting the Backyard Garden Expo at the Old Town Center for the Arts, starting at 1 p.m. and lasting till 5 p.m. It's free admission. There will be speakers, vendors, and demonstrations. At 1 p.m., Bill McDormand will talk about native seeds. And at 2 p.m., the scoop on the Backyard Co-op will be given by Nirmala and Krishna McAfee. At 3 p.m., there will be Tomato Talk, Growing the Most Popular Veggie by Janice Montgomery. At 4 p.m., there will be Innovations in Organic Soil Building by Robert LaRue. And our city clerk will also have a table there to answer questions about the community garden. So that's my report for today. So next is characters Beetle Bailey and Betty Boop will make an appearance in support of the Welcome Home Vietnam Veterans event. So if you would like to come up. And they don't speak, but they're just here to visit with you, and they're encouraging you to attend the Welcome Home Vietnam Veterans Day. And in fact, I think they brought a poster here. So this is Welcome Home Vietnam Veterans Day celebration. Join us for live music, food, and fun on Saturday, March 30th at the Cottonwood Kids Park at 1 p.m. So they're here to, this day is going to be a day of celebration and fun, but we will have, on the other hand, when we're not having fun, we'll be serious part of the time, and that is because we'll be having the Vietnam Veterans Wall. It'll arrive on Wednesday afternoon, as I understand it. And then on Thursday, there will be ceremonies, and I think it's on that poster, correct? The different times. And I can't get my hand on the agenda for the 4 days. But it's going around Facebook, and the piece that's on Facebook only has 2 days on it. It doesn't have Saturday and Sunday. So I'm working to get the information electronically, because passing it around in a meeting, you lose it. So anyway, we're just inviting the whole community, and we just really appreciate, you guys are on loan, as I understand it, from New York. And I forget the name of the company, and I know you can't talk, so sorry about that. I know that's important, and I forgot, okay? But anyway, thank you so much for being here tonight. And it's just Beetle Bailey. It is so awesome. I used to always read your cartoons when I was a kid. And Betty Boop, you are so famous. Coming to Cottonwood, it's such an honor to have you here. Thank you. Oh boy, look at that. Only Beetle Bailey. Okay, thank you very much for being here tonight. The next item is Baron Najad, Community Development Manager.
Madam Mayor, as council is aware, current community development manager George Gaylor will be retiring this June. And Baron actually went through the application process, was staff's choice for the position, and started yesterday and is going to work with George for a while and learn the ropes. Baron has an unusual tie to Cottonwood, which I'll let her come up here and explain as she introduces herself.
Madam Mayor, council members, I'm coming from Kansas. I've been working last 3.5 years as a city planner, but originally I went to Kansas from city of Surprise, Arizona. And also I work in different states, Texas, Idaho. But I am a graduate of ASU and urban planning from architecture department, and I continued my education master's degree. And during that program, we work in a real project, and that happened to be Cottonwood General Plan. And Brian Mickelson's direction and with the professor's direction, that was a 6-month project, and we came up to Cottonwood several times. And at the end, we presented to the City Council that project. So that was one of my first real projects in my career. So, and when I saw the job opening in this, in the Cottonwood for this position, I knew where I was coming, and I knew where I want to call home. So then I applied. So I'm very excited to be here and looking forward to working with you and serving the citizens of Cottonwood.
Thank you very much. We appreciate you speaking tonight, and we're looking forward to working with you. Right, the next item is proclamations. Tonight we have a proclamation, which is Go Blue for CASA. Is it CASA? CASA. CASA month. Whereas the National CASA Court appointed, which is the court-appointed Special Advocate Association, is a network of 955 programs that are recruiting, training, and supporting volunteers to represent the best interests of abused and neglected children in the courtroom and other settings. And whereas CASA volunteers are appointed by judges to watch over and advocate for abused and neglected children to make sure they don't get lost in the overburdened legal and social service system or languish in appropriate group or foster homes. And whereas the Verde Valley CASA Children's Foundation, a member of the National CASA Association, a nonprofit 501c3, was created in 2006 to provide financial assistance for the unmet needs of the children of our greater Verde Valley who are wards of the court. And whereas the mission statement of the Verde Valley CASA Children's Foundation reads, to enhance the quality of life for dependent children under court supervision in the greater Verde Valley. And whereas at this time there are approximately over 100 children in the greater Verde Valley that have been removed from their homes and are currently wards of the court. And whereas independent research has demonstrated that children with a CASA volunteer are substantially less likely to spend time in long-term foster care and less likely to re-enter care. And whereas the color blue is the national color representing abused and or neglected children. And whereas the month of April has been declared Go Blue for CASA month in the greater Verde Valley. Now therefore I, Diane Jones, Mayor of the City of Cottonwood, Arizona, do hereby proclaim April 2013 as Go Blue for CASA month in the City of Cottonwood. And we have Lisa Richards, who, are you still the president? Who is the president of CASA, here with us tonight to accept this proclamation. Are you? So I just know from talking with you that you have an absolute passion for these children.
I do, very serious passion for them. It's hard to believe, our community is not like Prescott where they're cohesive. We are all over in tiny little towns all over. And really, it's hard to believe that there are over 100 children that are boards of the court right now. And of course, that number changes every day as children are adopted. Children age out at 18 and or never hopefully return to their parents, which is the goal, of course, for CPS as well as for us also. Although we go for the best interest of the child, no matter what anyone says. And I wanted to thank you, and I wanted to thank the City Council and the City of Cottonwood for continuing to support our efforts.
Absolutely.
It really means a lot to us.
Absolutely. So we'd like to give you this proclamation. You have to look through the little, that's like old. There you go. And then I also have this little certificate that we just want to give you for exhibiting good citizenship and saying the pledge.
Well, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I practiced.
Oh, that's good. Okay, the next item is awards. And award number 1 is Employer Support of the Guard and Reserve Patriot Award to Police Chief Jody Fanning. And we have Luke Scepter with us tonight to explain what this is all about, and it's a great honor.
Well, my name's Luke Sefton. I'm a local engineer, but I volunteer for the Department of Defense, and I get to go out and give some great awards and do some great things for our community. And just diverse, because there's a lot of great things that are happening with veterans. The H2H van, which is part of ESGR, will be here Monday. I brought some packets for you guys to look at that. It's a great program, and you did a great job of explaining it better than I could. So, okay, good. I'm sure Mike did a great job. So you guys have the packet. It's going to be here Monday in front of the building. You know, if there's employees, that's what we're out there for, because we want employers to hire our great service members that are out there doing their duty and serving their country. And that's what ESGR is about, is getting out and letting the communities know and letting employers know what our service member, our reserve forces and National Guard soldiers are doing. And it comes back that we like to also recognize that. And in that finest tradition of a community standing behind their soldiers and service members that are off doing their duty, Chief Fanning and I got Matthew here, Matthew Watson and his family. Matthew was deployed, and his wife was going to move, and he said, you know, he called up the chief and said, I'm worried about this. He's deployed, and I'll let Matt tell a little bit about it, but, you know, he didn't have to worry about that because the community of Cottonwood, and I know where I'm at, stood behind, you know, this family and took care of them. And that's really what it comes down to, and what ESGR and our national defense is communities taking care of each other. And Chief Fanning, in the finest tradition of ESGR and taking care of our servicemen members, told him not to worry. And we are proud of that fact. And Chief Fanning, if you please come up. I can come up there. Matthew, would you come up? And I'm going to let Matt talk a little bit. But, you know, this is where it comes down to. And Chief Fanning took care of our service members. The city of Cottonwood did, and this community did. And from the Department of Defense, we really thank you for that. And I'm going to let Matt tell his side of this a little bit, so you get a little bit more, and you can ask him what happened.
And I think that he just has been home from Afghanistan a few days.
Just a little bit over a week.
A little bit over a week. And we want to genuinely thank you for your service. Thank you so much.
Many people do know me around the city. Normally I'm wearing the blue uniform. For the last year I've worn the Army uniform serving in Afghanistan. Just talking to my wife and my kids over the past year that I've been gone, I'm constantly being told how if they see Chief Fanning that he's asking how they're doing as well as how I'm doing. Other officers from the department will see my family and ask them how they're doing and how I'm doing. Just the support that I was hearing that my family was receiving while I was gone really meant a lot to me. And then, as was already mentioned, my family had to move while I was deployed. And the outpouring from this community was amazing. And just, my wife had people just stepping up, helping out, helping her and my 5 kids get everything moved from the old house to the new house in a timely manner, and just the outpouring from the community and from the police department was just outstanding. I couldn't ask for better support from the community.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And I would, okay, I would like to have Matt, your family come up and help present this to the chief, if we could. And all right, well, and if you see the pen, and we can all stand out here in front so everybody can see them. So there's, and let you guys, there's the award.
Very nice. See, I think the cameras are pointing this way. So
Okay. How do you want to do that? How do you want to do that?
If you can just stand up at the screen.
Pardon?
If you guys could just stand up at the screen, then I can get my cameras.
Okay. You can get this camera too. So that way our public here in person can see you and our public at home can see you.
And keep an eye on you.
Okay, everybody squeeze together because you have to kind of get here. So, hey, Chief, on behalf of the Department of Defense and all the service members that are out there that are off doing their duty and weekend duty, not only that, but we appreciate the support that you and the city of Cottonwood have done for all our service members. We couldn't do it without you, so thank you very much. And on behalf of you, you get this Patriot Employee Award. Thank you.
For every service member out there, excuse me, for every service member out there, we've got a family serving the country also.
Absolutely. Good point. We all serve as our model.
Okay, just hang on just a second. I'm not sure.
I wanted to stand up here and hold that hand.
Not sure about
Keep smiling. Don't stop.
Okay.
It's been a year.
Smile till it hurts.
Welcome back.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Come on, Speed Racer.
And thanks, Chief, to both you and your department for providing that kind of support.
Welcome home, Matt.
Thank you. Pleasure.
The next item is the Silver Award in the Property and Casualty category, an award of recognition for the City Workers' Compensation Program. And I believe we have Iris Dobler here with us tonight to tell about these awards.
Just recently, I received 2 plaques from our insurer, AMRRP, and we've never received one of the awards before, so I thought it would be great to bring it up to council and let you be aware of that. The first award that I'm going to pass by you is the Property and Casualty Award. We received a silver this year. We've received bronzes previously, and a silver is for a loss ratio between 1 and 10%. The bronze was 11 to 25%, and a gold is for no losses at all. There were actually 8 golds given this year, 14 silvers, and 17 bronzes by AMRRP. The second one is for our workers' compensation program. We received an award of recognition, which is given for a loss ratio of 11 to 20%. And this is a ratio compared to our losses a ratio of our losses compared to what we pay in our premiums. So we did fairly well this year in our workers' comp, and I'd like to thank all the employees and all of the managers and supervisors for making that possible, because without them being careful out in the field and in their everyday work, we couldn't do that. So I just wanted to present those to council and let you be aware and see the plaques that we did receive. This is for the casualty, property and casualty, and for the workers' comp program. Great. So we did receive. And the workers' comp is the one we've never received before.
So we all get to take them home for like a week at a time?
Yeah,
and pay them?
yeah, that's what we're doing, all employees, all good employees. Scribble on them.
Thank you.
So would you like to come back over here and let me take a picture of you with those? And Doug, if you could come up also. I guess for television purposes, they want you to be sort of against the screen.
Yes.
Yes, step high.
Workers' comp.
Yeah, we don't want to lose the awards the night we get them.
Thank you. Congratulations. All right, the next item is call to the public. This portion of the agenda is set aside for the public to address the council regarding an item that is not listed on the agenda for discussion. However, the council cannot engage in discussion regarding any item that is not officially listed on the agenda for discussion and/or action per Arizona Revised Statute 38-431-02-AH. Comments are limited to a 5-minute time period. Okay, so we have with us tonight Adrian Martin, who is going to share with us a report on, yes, the ARC service projects. And I have some photos of this as I stopped in. And if you could send me a little write-up, we could get these on our Facebook page, too.
Ooh, okay.
So,
Yeah,
right.
I can definitely email that to you tomorrow.
All right, great.
As Madam Mayor mentioned, my name is Adrian Martin. I'm with the Yavapai County AmeriCorps project. You might remember me from MLK and all the hounding I was doing during January for that. Last Wednesday on the 13th, we held a service project at Yes the Ark to commemorate AmeriCorps Week, which is a national holiday for all AmeriCorps members to get out there and do something that really helps their community. We had 3 American Heritage Academy students, as well as 9 Yavapai County AmeriCorps project members and 9 local VISTA members as well over from Prescott. We were able to collectively accomplish 95 hours of community service to help refurbish some benches. I believe there were 4, as well as some 6 wooden flower pots. The recognition and just the happiness from all of the clients to see how we have helped to create a safer and cleaner environment for them to participate in the warmer months was just overwhelming. The clients at Yes Ark are truly special individuals, and to have them come up and hug every single one of the members was truly amazing. This was fantastic because not only did it help to bridge the community in Yavapai County between Prescott as well as Cottonwood, but it also helped to promote volunteerism within Cottonwood. The 3 American Heritage members who came out to participate are now also volunteering in other AmeriCorps-sponsored programs throughout Cottonwood and the Verde Valley, and American Heritage has requested that we come and present to the seniors about getting involved in AmeriCorps and giving back to the community. So we would like to especially thank Mayor Jones for coming out and participating. She came out for a little bit and took some photos, and it was really nice to have her there for everybody to meet you and kind of get a face to the town of Cottonwood. And we would also like to thank City Manager Doug Bartosh, who is the co-chair of Community Counts, who's our kind of umbrella organization. And without Community Counts, nothing that Yavapai County AmeriCorps project does would be possible. So thank you so much.
Thank you. And I was just amazed at the number of people that were there working. They were sanding tables, redoing picnic tables, and it was amazing. So let's give Adrian a big hand. Thank you for being here tonight. Okay. Let's see the agenda items. Okay, call to the public. We have Bob Rothrock with us tonight.
Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of council, thanks for the opportunity to speak. I just want to let you know about some upcoming events that I've been involved in. First of all, this weekend on Saturday is the Verde River Runoff. Those of you who are boaters or know boaters, I hope you'll encourage them to join in the race. It's a 10-mile race from the White Bridge in Camp Verde down to Beasley Flat. A nice medal is awarded, but it's mostly bragging rights is what folks are racing for. Many folks just come out to have a good time, knowing that there's going to be safety coverage on the river. There's be experienced boaters at all the hazardous points, so you can have a safe run of the river probably if you've never even done it before at the Verde River Runoff. This Saturday, go online at the website verderiverrunoff.org to sign up and register for the race. Now, even if you don't like the boat, you can come out to the runoff, though, because starting this year, as opposed to years when it was done by NAU, there's going to be a festival in town, a couple of bands, a number of vendors, and food, all happening at the festival right by Fort Verde State Park. So you can come and listen to banjo music on the river, paddle faster, or reggae music later on in the afternoon. And the second event I would like to tell you all about is the Verde River Basin Partnership is bringing the U.S. Geological Survey to Camp Verde's multi-purpose room, the auditorium at the school complex in Camp Verde, for a presentation of their USGS's model-based groundwater flow model. This is the best available science on the state of our water resources. They are going to hope to answer the question, is our water budget broken? There are people who say that being a model, it's not perfect, but I think it's wise, particularly for decision makers, to not let perfect get in the way of good. This is the best we have available, and we can learn what the USGS has to say about our water resources by attending this event. It's on April the 11th, that's a Thursday, at 4 o'clock in Camp Verde. So I hope to see council members there, and I hope some of the public will attend as well. Again, thanks for the time.
Thank you so much. And to add to that, also on Saturday, I forgot to mention, is the Verde Valley Senior Center Walk on the 23rd at 9 a.m. So Saturday is full of things to do.
Lots of, yes, spring is typically packed.
That's right. Thank you, Bob, very much. We appreciate that. Okay, the next item, item number 10, is approval of the minutes. I'd entertain a motion.
Second.
Mr. Elinsky made a motion for approval, and Councilmember Norman seconded it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Comments regarding items listed on the agenda are limited to a 5-minute time period per speaker. Unfinished business. Item number 1 is request from the Boys and Girls Club for funding in the amount of $10,000. And I'm getting to the item. So, Mr. Bartosh.
Madam Mayor, council members, per the council's direction from the last meeting, staff met with representatives of the Boys and Girls Club, primarily their board and financial committee, and also their executive director. And as the council received, we got a copy of their last audit, which was 2010. They are trying to find a way to do their 2011-2012 audit, but they were estimating that it would run about $8,000, and when you don't have a lot of money, you kind of choose between the two, and the audit seems to lose. I would like to comment that they do have a very dedicated group of individuals that is trying to keep them afloat. They provided us with their budget for this year as well. They run on a calendar year budget. And they've got quite a steep hill to climb and also some fairly significant debt. But what I thought I would do is we turned a lot of that information over to our financial expert, Rudy Rodriguez, and Rudy can probably give you further detail on the financial state of the club right now. And then we can talk a little bit about their plans to try and raise additional funds to keep them survivable and sustainable into the future. Rudy?
Thank you, Doug. Mayor and council, we went over this and we had a very good discussion earlier with Connie Dietrich over some of the financials. Though I don't share her enthusiasm, I think enthusiasm is what this organization is going to need to get out of its bind. We did discuss a couple of issues as far as how far they have to come back. It still worries me. However, we have made the commitment in the past to help out other organizations as we probably will this one. I did, in our discussions, we also will encourage council to possibly meet and support them when it comes to dealing with maybe school districts, our neighbors in Clarkdale, the county, try to go ahead and get their support too, because honestly it's going to be very difficult for the city of Cottonwood to stand alone and try to help them out. And I think it's important that we try to solicit support from some of the surrounding organizations. They're in dire straits, and it's a worthwhile organization to try to keep alive and support. Again, though I have some grave concerns, I think that with enthusiasm and proper support from the surrounding organizations, I think we can all join together and partner and help them out dramatically. If anyone has any questions about the financials after this meeting, you're more than happy to give me a holler. As you always have, my door is always open. Connie and I's discussions were pretty open. The financials that they have are show that they are struggling. They're very honest about and open about their books. And we, as the finance department, have offered our help any way we can, from budget building and to we can possibly talk to maybe some of our auditor friends that we know and see if we can help them out with their audit. It probably won't be inexpensive. We can probably try to see if we can kind of twist a few arms to try to help them out any way we can. Again, it's a worthwhile organization. I have great concerns. It needs a lot of enthusiasm, and I think Connie and their board has a lot of enthusiasm to input, and I think they will need our support, not just with City of Cottonwood, but surrounding areas to make it happen.
Thank you. Any questions, council members? And
again, Madam Mayor, council members, I asked Connie to give us kind of a breakdown of where the kids come from. And I know she was going to contact the county and ask for their assistance as well. And I think the things going for them is they do have the regional office supporting them. And according to their board, the regional office has taken the step to close clubs when they just see it as impossible to sustain. They're still supporting our Boys and Girls Club, trying to keep it afloat. As the council received, they again do have some substantial debt that they are going to try and pay off in payments, but they've got a steep hill to climb. But this may be an opportunity to give them a little more time to fight to survive.
Vice Mayor?
So you're going to stay involved with the Boys and Girls Club, not financially, but as a guide or a mentor or whatever to help them come out of this?
As we have with other organizations, the Senior Center, the Adopt for Life programs, we've always offered our services any way we can, short of financial part of it. We provide our expertise anywhere we can, and so then that's what we're providing for them also.
Good, thank you.
On this, on the Cottonwood one, is that Cottonwood and Verde Village, or is the Verde Village in with the county's Okay, Connie?
Madam Mayor, Vice Mayor, council members, city manager. First, I want to thank everybody for meeting with us. It was a wonderful meeting, and it's just a great start to move forward. So yes, we did break out Verde Village as part of the county. We wanted to make sure that we actually showed, because I do have a meeting with Supervisor Davis on April 2nd, so I want to make sure that he sees, you know, the correct numbers. So these are basically the numbers. And the Phoenix, Scottsdale, Surprise, and even Sedona, you know, now that's really in the summer. I mean, we even get kids from out of state, but we just put them under wherever their grandparents, you know, are at for the summer, because we get a lot of kids that come
That
and
was
visit.
interesting to see those numbers. Yeah.
You bet, yeah. So I guess just to, you know, I'd like to kind of add, you know, we do have a hill to climb. We've had a hill to climb ever since we took over a year and a half ago to get this organization. And this is like what I call the last leg. You know, we had to break everything down and rebuild it from scratch. This 10,000 will go to match to get us our 50. In talking with our regional representative, there's a foundation, the Pacific Foundation for the Boys and Girls Club, and they're located in Los Angeles, California. All they do is fund Boys and Girls Clubs in our region, which we're in the Pacific region. I will be meeting with him. We're going to leverage this 50,000. He has a call, and he had to put in a request, and he will be meeting with him Monday. He is trying to either, they're going to fly me to LA to meet with him, and we're going to do some proposal and team building to figure out what we can do to get us our year's worth of funding, because really that's what our long-term goal is by July or August 31st. Because we know in order to pay off our debt and move forward with our current obligations as well, that's what we need to do. So, you know, with all of this, and we just did a car wash, and thanks to all the wonderful people and the staff and the kids and the parents that came out, we raised, you know, over $1,100 only by donation. We didn't put like a sign that said $5. That was just donated Saturday. You know, so those are the things we're going to do to work those things into our budget as well. And then this would just give us the breathing room to really focus on our 4 major events and plan some things and get things rolling for, you know, not only the rest of this year, but next year as well. So the way I look at the 10,000 match, it really gets us to 50, and we're going to take the 50 and leverage, you know, another 50 or 100 out of it. So it takes money to make money, really is the motto when you think of things. So we would really appreciate your support at this time.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I feel a lot better, and, you know, I genuinely wish you the best and hope that this will work out for you.
It will.
And the children, it's about the children of the community.
It really is. It's about the kids and the parents and the single parents and even the parents, you know, that have intact households. It's really, we offer great programs, and it's a great facility for our youth to learn how to build computers and to play sports and, you know, fitness and recreation and the arts. You know, so many things in the schools have dropped off because of budgets, and we really pick up that need. And we will be going to talk to the school. You know, as Rudy said, you know, we're going to probably take up, you know, some of your time in the near future about putting, you know, doing some budget building and getting our team together with our finance board and sitting down and really putting together a game plan, because moving forward, it's really about a partnership as well, and a partnership with the county, and going and talking to Clarkdale. And as you said, you know, maybe we can do that together and just show how important this is to everybody in the community. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Questions, Mr. Linsky?
I want to ask, what's your plan on building or strengthening the relationship with the council in the future?
Well, what we need to do is number one, we have to be more transparent, and that's not just with the council, it's with the whole community. You know, as far as our audit, when I stepped in, we were already 2 behind. You know, so regional is helping us put together, you know, a double audit for 11 and 12, and we do have a couple individuals that might help us with that. But I think it's more attending some council meetings, saying what's going on, and inviting you all to come to things that we have going on. I know in April, we're thinking about doing a big open house. That's been a talk. You know, inviting you to come to that, you know, and then maybe we come to some of your functions and bring out, you know, our youth and our parents. It's just critical that that's how those partnerships get formed. And then not only do the parents see how it all works, but our kids, our youth that we serve, you know, they come up through the community service then and see how a community really works together to move forward on all levels.
Okay. I just think from my part, I'd like to know, I mean, I said it at the last meeting, I felt like it was a surprise how much of a crisis you were in.
Right.
It was for me. I knew that you were struggling for a long time, but I didn't realize how much and how desperate the situation was. So it'd be nice to have a little more communication between the council and Boys and Girls Club so that we can just be kept abreast of the situation, so we could help out sooner.
I agree, and I think that through forming this partnership early on in the year, I think we're going to have that, you know, a more open communication and sitting with everybody. And, you know, we talked about attending the events for Thunder Valley Rally and all the things the city has going on, and vice versa, where we can maybe set up a booth and, you know, just get awareness out there and just work together and put the city logo on some of our stuff too, just to show that partnership as well and just keep the lines of communication moving forward.
And I would feel much more comfortable if we had the audit, you know, before giving away taxpayer dollars, but I understand the situation of not having it. And it would be great if, I know that we have really awesome auditors for the city, and if, as Rudy said, there might be some way that he could assist you in getting some assistance with that, that wouldn't, you know, break the bank.
Right.
I don't know. You know, they don't work for free for us by any means.
Right.
but-
Well, and that was the problem, you know, it's, an audit's $8,000, you know, so to do a double audit, you're talking a $20,000 bill, and that's been kind of the problem. We're always been kind of behind the wheel, and really this year is about moving forward and being in the black. You know, it's about getting all of that taken care of, and we do have a couple lines, but I'll send Rudy an email, and, you know, we'll talk and see who can help with that on that end too.
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
Also, in terms of keeping the council informed and updated, generally what we do, what the council requires when money is given to a nonprofit like this is quarterly reports on how that funding is being used.
Absolutely.
So we'll work with the Boys and Girls Club to continue that practice if that's the wishes of the council as well.
Absolutely, and maybe in the next few months, maybe even more than quarterly, if you can be of assistance to them in any way. Any other comments or questions from the council? Any comments from the public on this item? I'd entertain a motion.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Huddy?
I'd like to move that to grant $10,000 from the City Council's contingency fund to the Cottonwood Boys and Girls Club to support the club's operation.
I'd second that. Mr. Huddy made the motion, the mayor seconded it. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor, Council.
Okay, the next item is the consent agenda. The following items are considered to be routine and non-controversial by the council and will be approved by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member or a citizen so requests, in which case the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered in its normal sequence on the agenda. Item number 1 is resolution number 2689, authorizing the submission of a grant proposal to the Governor's Office of Highway Safety for traffic enforcement detail overtime costs and traffic monitoring equipment. Item number 2 is resolution number 2690, authorizing the submission of a grant proposal in connection with the Governor's Office of Highway Safety, GOHS, fiscal year 2014 funding cycle to continue the DUI task force detail overtime and to purchase 5 PBTs and 500 mouthpieces. Are there any items that the council wants to remove to be discussed individually? Any items that the public wants to be removed? If not, I'd entertain a motion.
I move we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
The Vice Mayor made the motion. Councilmember Norman seconded it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 13, new business. The following, excuse me?
Would you like the resolutions read?
Oh, well, I guess so. That would be very important, huh? Deputy Clerk, please read resolution number 2689 and 2690 by title only.
Resolution number 2689, a resolution of the mayor and city council of the city of Cottonwood, Yavapai County, Arizona, authorizing the submission of a grant proposal in connection with the Governor's Office of Highway Safety, GOHS, fiscal year 2014 funding cycle. And resolution number 2690, a resolution of the mayor and city council of the city of Cottonwood, Yavapai County, Arizona, authorizing the submission of a grant proposal in connection with the Governor's Office of Highway Safety fiscal year 2014 funding cycle. Madam Mayor.
Thank you. New business item number 1, amendment of a contract with Jackson Kinsey Constructors for installation of a beacon, windsock, and pole at the Cottonwood Airport to reflect corrected contract amount. Mr. Scott.
Madam Mayor, members of the council, we're bringing this before you tonight because I made a mistake. You may remember we have a grant to refurbish the airport beacon, and we brought this to you initially to approve the contract amount, and you approved it, and we've been moving forward with the contractor as far as their insurance, everything else. However, during contract discussions, it was noticed that we needed to place a larger windsock, and that required a change order. So we brought that back to the council, and council approved that change order. You may remember that. However, during the initial contract amount, I had misinterpreted the contract documents. We're refurbishing the airport beacon, and as part of the contract, we are actually selling our existing beacon back to the contractor for an amount of about $5,200. So the contract amount was listed in the contract at $19,000. I had subtracted that $5,000 and I brought it to you as a $14,000 contract when it was meant to be a $19,000 contract. When we brought it back to you for the change order, that was actually corrected. However, unfortunately, I didn't write the motion correctly, so we didn't officially, and Steve can correct me if I'm wrong here, didn't officially approve that final amount. So no dollar amount is changing tonight. We're just asking you to officially approve the correct contract amount. Steve, do I have that right? Okay.
That sounds pretty simple.
And Madam
It would have
Mayor,
been simpler if I'd have done it right.
I think this is the first mistake that Mr. Morgan has made since he's, or Mr. Scott has made for us since he's worked for us, so.
Definitely not true.
The only one that's risen up to the city manager's level, apparently.
Maybe that's true.
You do a great job for us, so we appreciate you. And everybody makes a mistake once in a while. So I think all we need is a motion.
I'll make a
Mr.
motion.
Dowling?
I move to amend the contract with Jackson Kinsey Constructors to reflect a corrected base contract amount of $19,602.53 and a total contract amount of $24,397.24.
Second.
Okay, Mr. Dowling made the motion, Mr. Elinsky seconded it. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, award of bid for city weed eradication services, and that must be Mr. Scott again.
Yes, I'll take this one also. You may remember last budget season, we chose to move towards contracting out citywide weed eradication services rather than each department go bid on its own. We actually advertised this once in January, but unfortunately the contractors misinterpreted the documents and bid it separate ways. So we re-advertised, clarified the confusion, and or clarified the area that confused the contractors anyways. We've got a very competitive bid, as you noticed, more than $10,000 under the second highest bidder. Arizona Weed King was the apparent low bidder. They have a considerable amount of experience servicing private entities, minimal amount of servicing municipal public entities, however, not enough to concern staff.
Any questions by the council?
I just think it's
Mr.
important to
Linsky?
note that we're hiring a weed abatement company to replace that one gentleman that was always out there whipping weeds on the side. I forget his name.
His name is Mike Oots, and yes, Mike retired last year.
Yeah.
So this will cut back a significant amount of staff time. Also, the consolidation should result in a significant savings. The water department's not doing it separately, and the wastewater and the streets and Parks and Rec. This one contract can be broken out among each department.
Okay, any comments from the public on this item? If not, I'd entertain a motion.
I move to award the weed eradication contract to Arizona Weed King, Inc.
Second.
Who seconded it first? Okay, Councilmember Norman seconded it, or no, I mean, she made the motion, and Councilmember Elinsky seconded it. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, Item number 3, encroachment agreement for commercial building and patio encroachments for the Pizzeria Bocce Restaurant located at 1060 North Main Street. Mr. Gaylor.
Mayor and Council, this has to do with a request by the owners of the the building at 1060 North Main Street, the Jerson family, for an encroachment permit or an agreement that would enable encroachment of outdoor patios associated with an ongoing renovation of that building. It's basically going to be turned into a restaurant, pizzeria-style restaurant. It's enshrouded by city rights-of-way on 3 sides of the building. It's like most of the older buildings in Old Town. The site itself is built out to the property lines in virtually all directions. You've got the remnant of a historic right-of-way and a alley easement and right-of-way that comes up the west side of the building and wraps around the north side, as well as the Main Street right-of-way on the east side. What they'd like to do is develop a series of outdoor patios within portions of those easements, which are immediately adjacent to the building. I've got a display of that for you momentarily here. I know that you've got a depiction of the area within your packets there. It's actually a more definitive drawing that I've got for you. Simply put, it involves, well, there it is there. This is the property here in the little red box. It was formerly the site of the Avatar Tattoo Salon. It was purchased by the Jersons in about 6 months ago, and they began renovating the structure, doing some structural repair and renovation to the interior of the building and finishing the interior shell. We just recently received the proposal for the pizzeria restaurant within the last month or so. The easements, again, they wrap around the east, north, and west sides of the building. This is North Main Street, and this is part of the old subdivision plat for the Willard addition that includes this whole area. It goes back to like 1917. And so, as part of the request in your packet, you have a copy of the agreement that would basically enable the use of portions of these rights-of-way for the outdoor patios. Would you scroll down, Matt? Next one. This is a picture of the building just about the time they got started with the interior renovation. I know you're acquainted with it. If you want to skip down. This is the rendering proposal that the Planning and Zoning Commission reviewed last evening and recommended approval of. Basically, they did approve the design review submittal. There's not a lot of there's no exterior additions other than the awnings and the outdoor patio areas that are detailed here. Next slide. This again is the footprint and basically the interior kitchen and seating areas and the use of the outdoor rights-of-way along the sidewalk. Along the north, we've got a drainage and sewer easement through here, and in the rear alley, there's actually a bocce court that's going to be located in that in the rear alley. Next slide. And this is just a delineation. Oops, there we go.
George, the existing building encroaches into the right-of-way as well, right?
Yes. Yeah, there's a slight encroachment right here, as near as we can tell. The dashed line is my line work there appears to be offset by the computer, but you can see the yellow there that proceeds just east of that line is the existing encroachment. They want to make use of the front area and the north and the west for the patio. They would also like to. This box should actually extend further south, and I know in the drawing that you have in your packet, it actually details the total use of this rear alley. This will be again for the bocce court as well as like a pedestrian access back to the parking lot that we just completed, as well as for the location of trash dumpsters and rear loading. I think that's all I've got, Madam Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Questions from the council?
Well, just an observation. This isn't really groundbreaking, seeing as there's quite a few restaurants along Main Street that are actually using areas of the public sidewalk as for seating as it is right now, correct? Like the Tavern, Cactus Kate's, and a couple other locations.
Yeah, the council adopted like a policy to enable use of the sidewalk for outdoor cafes.
Okay, and that would be similar?
Yes and no. These, I would say this is kind of a similar use, and so is this. Back here with the bocce court and a little more dirt work. It's a little bit beyond that, but yeah, and that goes back about 8 years ago, 8 or 9 years ago.
Mr. Elinsky?
I don't have an issue with it. I think it's a good use of the right-of-way. We've done it before, and it adds, I think, to the charm of Old Town, but I'm just wondering why it's coming to us so late.
Well, the proposal that we received was about a month ago, actually, on the pizzeria.
Mhm.
The property was acquired 6 months ago. They began with the stabilization of the upper floor.
Mhm.
For some reason, didn't seem to have any. So the first thing we had to do was run a giant glue lamp down through the middle of the floor to support it, and et cetera. But again, most of the interior work had to do with just the completion of the shell itself. The proposal for the pizzeria is still relatively recent.
I mean, I guess what I mean is that they've already developed or started to develop. I mean, they got the ledger up for the patio cover, and they've got the bocce
Yes.
court started, so it kind of appears that we've already approved it.
Sure, yeah.
Councilmember Alinsky, if you don't mind, I'll jump in on that. It actually took staff a little while and a few discussions with the property owner on how to handle the situation. Do we just want to do a patio lease agreement? Did we want to do a license agreement? Did we actually just want to lease and or sell the land? So we kind of discussed that for a while. So this has been under discussion for a while. This is after working with the city attorney, we kind of came up with, this is probably the best situation to move forward with. So that's one of the reasons this is coming forward to you so late.
And another is that it went to planning and zoning just last night?
Yeah.
Well, again, I don't have an issue with it. I think it would be irresponsible on the city's part to have the developer put a lot of investment into building what he hopes is going to get approved. And if we didn't like what we saw and said no, then he's got a big investment in it. And that's a shame for him. And it looks bad on us, is all.
So how could we do that differently? Bring it to the council?
Well, I think that, I mean, according to the renderings that we have, it looks like that was part of the plan all along, but I think everybody was fully aware it was a right-of-way, so we probably should have been made aware of it in the beginning. I don't think anyone would have an issue with it, but I'd hate to see somebody invest so much time and money into something that the council didn't want to approve, is all.
Madam Mayor, I can probably clear that up a little bit, and maybe the property owner can clear it up too, is he really wasn't sure what he was going to put in there for quite a while. He began construction simply to kind of begin to get the building in shape. But it did take him a little bit of time to determine exactly what he was going to put in there. So, you know, the staff received notice a little bit late, much later than when the property owner actually began construction on it.
Again, I don't have an issue with, I think it makes Old Town nice to have sidewalks, you know, dual use on the sidewalks and rights of way. That was my only concern. Oh, another concern I have is the wash. And I know it's not a 404 wash, but I live just up. The wash actually runs through part of my property, and when it runs, it really runs. And I'm concerned that the grading that they've done there, it does appear to me that they've pushed into that wash quite a bit, and I'm afraid that might just get washed out, because that really can push a lot of water. It really can, as you know.
Yeah, and if you'd like, we can ask our engineer to take a look at that to see if he has a legitimate concern with that issue.
It would just be a shame, again, to have that washed away.
Yeah.
But.
And the property owner is here. Did you wish to speak at all? You're certainly welcome to if you'd like to. You're not required. You can, you may. It's
There were some good questions brought up. Manager, council, my name's Eric Jurison. I'm the owner of the property. I seem to always come to you asking for something. It was a little over 10 years ago, I asked for benches in front of Nick's, and I could go on and on from the tavern to the hotel, and now this one. And this one is a strange animal, and I take a lot of responsibility that this was a backwards project. Due to my comfort level with a certain contractor in Cottonwood, we just started stabilizing a building and then decided what to do with it, truly. And then it became complicated on how to do it with the city, so on and so forth. The renderings you're seeing now with all the patios, so on and so forth, really are 90 days old, maybe. I mean, it was always discussed. But it took time to get our heads around this particular project and this corner. Knowing that the parking lot was coming and hopefully really soon. We knew we wanted to take advantage of the new parking lot because we took advantage of it on the other end and kind of bookend. We think there's two different ends in how Old Town works. We're in the stronger end right now with the start of Nick's and the businesses up there, and this other end's kind of the sleepy side, but I think that will change. And we were never able to take advantage, in my opinion, of the train traffic. It's the train is our goal at this location. 90,000 people ride the train. I believe, and why we're trying to put so much effort into the outdoor areas and the inviting and the wash and the bridge, is to get them, it's time when you're driving your car from that parking lot that you see it. I see it, what is it, that looks like kind of a great thing, and then take a left into the new parking lot. By the time they get down farther where maybe the action's happening in Old Town, there's no parking left. So they see there's a Vineyard, Kate's, the tavern, you might see it, and you've turned the corner. And well, maybe we'll see that next time we go through, or you know, we missed it. This is quite an opportunity to get a head start on getting that thinking of stopping. And even, you know, because the train gets out at 5:30, you know, whenever the train pulls in, there's a lot of effect even with there's some of those features there are fire features on the patio, which, you know, we've gone through with the fire department, you know, when we can't use them, so on and so forth. But we are really looking for a bang for the buck on this one. And I can't seem to buy a building that doesn't already sit on city property. I can't seem to with ADA and how do you get a delivery and how do you have a dumpster and how do you have a grease trap and how do you have a ramp. I mean, I heard the word private-public partnership a decade ago, and I have milked that one to an extreme with the city of Cottonwood. We've had a great decade now, and I just keep coming at you with more projects. It's a business-friendly community, and I don't see us stopping until we run out of buildings down there. I mean, you know, we just keep going forward. And I'd answer any questions if you have any.
It was kind of, I guess you could compare this a little bit to our jail project. We went to restore the old jail, and it was on like 4 different parcels, and we were like, oh wow, where do we go from here? You know, I think, as Eric is saying, you never know what you're going to get into when you start developing something in Old Town. And I'm sure you have just as many surprises along the way, probably.
Oh, they're still coming.
As we do. So,
Ka-ching.
Any other comments or questions, Tim?
No.
On that? Those are good questions, all good questions. Yes, Vice Mayor. Councilmember Norman.
Considering the fact that Old Town was laid out years ago, before we had the big automobiles and everything we have now, I think you've done a fantastic job with what you have down there, so don't apologize for coming to council.
Well, I never give, I take. You know, I'm always asking, you know,
But
should I
look
bring
what-
gift cards by? I mean, I don't know what to do, but I mean, I do feel like I'm always coming.
But you do
Here's
give.
what I need this time.
You do
to
give
move
Old
forward.
Town the new businesses, and that draws
Well, we have some
customers.
great neighbors now. When I think back to, you know, 10 years ago when Nick's opened, I mean, a lot's changed in a decade.
Yeah.
You know, and a lot stayed the same. I mean, it's still, it had charm then, it has charm now.
And I can't wait to see it when it looks like that.
This is going to be a good one.
Maybe you can get rid of the curse of the corner.
This one's going to hit.
Well, one thing that the revitalization of Old Town, there's one thing that you can say about it. The goal is, of course, to bring quality of life, you know, and Old Town provides that small town character that everyone talks about in our general plan. But it also brings tax revenues, and tax revenues help us provide for the entire city fire protection, police protection, parks that aren't in Old Town. I mean, the sales taxes that we receive from the businesses you and others have created help us support the whole city.
Well, with the opening of Bocce, that'll put us over 100 employees in Old Town Cottonwood. It's a lot of people.
So you provide a lot of jobs also.
Created more jobs than the house.
In Old Town. We have a couple hundred altogether, but there's a lot.
Some of my good friends work in the businesses down there in Old Town. So, Vice Mayor?
I know exactly what you're talking about. We bought an old home 33 years ago, and we just pretty much finished remodeling it. just putting in a doggy door, cutting into the wall, we found out there was 3 layers of ammo boxes. That's what the house is made of. So you just never know what you're going to cut into in these older buildings.
Bob Backus has really taken a liking to doing these projects in Old Town now, and I think he'll be with us down there for a while.
I've known Bob for over 40 years, and he's mellowing a little bit.
We were looking at a project today, and he was already shaking his head.
Yep.
I think, too, the fact that you hire local contractors to do your work, I mean, that is so much appreciated. You don't have to go by Arizona revised statutes to
It's
pick
easier
your person.
to be an entrepreneur than a city.
Yes, it is. So that really provides work and jobs for others as you restore these old buildings, too. Are there any comments from members of the public? If not, any more questions or comments by council? Mr. Dowling?
I'll make a motion.
Please.
I move to approve the proposed encroachment agreement for the existing commercial building and new patio encroachments associated with the pizzeria bocce proposal.
Second.
Councilmember Dowling made the motion, Councilmember Norman seconded it. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, the next item is consideration of a subscriber rate for regional public safety dispatch services for the city's proposed new public safety communications center. Mr. Bartosh.
Madam Mayor, council members, as I know you're all probably painfully aware, we've been working on this project for a long time, even before I came to the city. And we are now at the point tonight where we're not only going to ask the council to consider a design firm for this facility, but also we have worked with our consultant IXP, who has helped us develop a subscriber model. As indicated, the initial discussions were to try and create a regional center where we not only had principals, but also subscribers. However, if you were a principal, you had to come to the table with capital, and you essentially had control over the operation and the policies of the center. Well, it turns out most other agencies wanted to be involved. They just didn't want to come to the table with a bunch of capital to help us build it. So what we did is we became the principal. The idea is for the city to come up with the funding to build the building, and we will own the building, the city will own the building, and then all the operation, the annual operation, the technology renewal will all be part of the subscriber rate. Now, the difficult part of this is that the subscriber rate could change based on who eventually decides to come and participate in the center. And it could go down, it could go up a little bit. So this is where we have recommended that we start in terms of a subscriber rate. And again, this won't start until at the earliest probably June, July of 2014. So we do have the opportunity to adjust this before we actually go into operation at that point. But we are getting some interest in this from agencies other than who we dispatch now for, which is Clarkdale Police and Jerome Police. We have gotten an expression of interest from Verde Valley Ambulance. Certainly our own fire department would be dispatched out of here, and we anticipate that we'll probably get some additional fire departments interested in using our facilities as well. But based on that and the cost of operating, the cost of replacing technology annually, it is a call for service model where for each call that's dispatched, this is what it cost. And to make that fair, what we have done is we have, because usually like if we were dispatching Verde Valley Fire District, when we dispatch them to an accident, their ambulance goes with them and is dispatched along with that call. For Cottonwood, we not only dispatch Cottonwood Fire, but we would also dispatch Verde Valley Ambulance, and that call is split between those two entities to make it much more fair. so that there's consistency from one agency to the next. But in essence, this is what we have calculated. Again, IXP has been our expert on this, and they have come up with this. As you see, there's a letter that is intended to go out to the potential subscribers, just advising them of what the circumstances are and what the rate would be. And again, the other caveat with this is because of that, not knowing for sure who's going to come participate, and it's kind of a chicken or egg issue because nobody wants to commit unless they know what it's going to cost. And we can't, really predict the cost for sure unless we know who's going to participate. The saving piece for us in this is that we have the ability to say, no, that's too far outside the subscriber rate. We're not going to, take you on as a subscriber. So we will still have, the City of Cottonwood will have ultimate control. We will have a users group that'll help adjust, kind of policies, performance standards, those kind of things. But I wanted to get the council's approval before we sent this out and just keep you updated on what's going on with this project. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
For members of the public that aren't aware of why we might be doing this, do you want to just update us a little bit on current conditions?
Well, I mean, certainly our dispatch center for our police department is way too small. It was never built for a communication center, so we have a lot of problems with the environment in there in terms of keeping it heated or more likely cooled to what it should be. And the technology is increasing all the time, and we're just flat running out of room. I think it will also be important to dispatch both our police and fire, as what we have found through the research is that our fire department interacts much more with our police department than it does with other fire agencies, particularly since we've brought on a second fire engine company. And so we want to make sure that that communication is clear. We really are hoping that we get additional agencies to participate that surround us closely, because again, I think that'll make for much better service. It'll make for much better coordinated service, and it's really something that the feds have pushed since 9/11, that the coordination of public safety services is very positive. I think the other thing that we benefit from by having our fire department dispatched out of our police department is our police department is the public safety answering point, or the 911 center for the City of Cottonwood. So if we get a fire call into our 911 center here at this building and it's for fire, we have to transfer that call up to Sedona Fire, who dispatches our fire department. So it really does make sense. We can improve our fire department's response time by being able to answer those calls here and dispatch them immediately from our communication center. But it really is a product of, we have just outgrown what was never intended to be a communications center, and it really doesn't meet any of the federal or emergency preparedness standards of a communications center. This new center will. It'll provide some growth space and certainly provide adequate space, not only for the people that provide the dispatch service, but also for all the technology that now goes along with it.
And will you also address the future costs of our current provider, the possibility that they're going to increase?
Well, it's always hard to predict what they're going to do, but we have been told that in essence the cost of dispatching calls from the Sedona Fire District is about $160 per call. They currently charge our fire department around $62 a call, a little more than that.
$62.95 this year. It's going to $64.84 next year.
So we know that, and they also have technology that has reached its shelf life. They also have an inadequate building. that they are going to need to replace. So under the current conditions, they're really not sustainable. And they probably won't like me saying that, but that's one of the factors we looked at, was what are the long-term costs. And initially, when our fire department went to Sedona Fire, the cost was very reasonable, but it increased dramatically over a very short period of time, and we anticipated that that cost was going to continue to rise. By working through our consultant, IXP, what we have developed is a model that is sustainable, that is predictable in terms of what are our costs going to be for the next 5 to 10 years, and also to our agencies that subscribe, they'll also be able to predict after that first year what their costs are going to be in the out years. So it really does, it makes financial sense for us to go to this model, and it really does make financial sense for these other agencies to come into this model as well. Because that was the other thing that was determined both through the feasibility study that we did and also the business case study, is that financially this made a lot of sense. Rather than each agency purchasing their own technology and dispatching from what was essentially 4 different locations, we really should be in one location. It would save a lot of money for our taxpayers over the next 10 to 20 years.
And I know that the city paid for the first study for the whole Verde Valley. And did we pay for the second study also?
We paid for a substantial portion of that, and the Sedona Fire District also contributed
picked up some of it. So we've paid quite a bit for the study to find out. And I mean, who knows, but with time, as equipment does deteriorate, we may have more subscribers also come in.
And I think that's a real possibility. Again, that was, and because we have been in a recession, I think there was a lot of short-term thinking about this issue, that we really can't afford to pay more right now, even though we know it's going to save us in the long run. But I think as we begin to approach the future, I think there will be those considerations. And as you indicated, Mayor, I think a lot of it is going to be based on having to replace technology that it's reached its life.
Now, at one time, with all of us trying to collaborate on this and work as a region, which didn't work out, you had talked about being able to get some grants because of that. Is there a chance that we would still be eligible for some grants, even going at it pretty much as a smaller Upper Verde Valley group rather than the whole Verde Valley?
We're certainly hoping that. I think we had more opportunity if we get more agencies on board, but the reality is we're not seeing as much of the granting that went on right after 9/11 and the years after that. I've certainly asked our fire department and police department to continue to look for grant opportunities to try and reduce our out-of-pocket costs for this facility, and we're still looking to see if that's a possibility. Again, also our consultant IXP, who does these centers and these studies all over the country, is out there looking for us as well, and so hopefully we'll be able to identify at least some funding, grant funding, that can help offset the cost of this.
Great. Any questions, Vice Mayor?
I've got a few. With the staffing, are we going to cross-train but have separate divisions for police and fire?
That's the model that we're following, is that dispatchers would be trained not only as call takers but also as police and fire dispatchers. And it actually has the potential to create some growth for dispatchers, because in dispatch centers, that's one of the problems you run into. There's not a lot of opportunity to advance, but we have an opportunity to set up a situation where the more training you get, the more abilities you have, the higher pay you'll end up being able to
So on the specialists, then we'll have some specialists that are basically fire and then some that are police, but in case of a huge thing like Angel Valley or something like that, they can help each other out.
Absolutely.
But they will be in separate little, because I listened to that scanner, and the codes are a little bit different, and I can't imagine someone doing a fire and then getting the 25 calls from an accident scene that you get from cell phones and all that. That's really hard to take, so
Right.
that's encouraging. And how many, have we figured out how many per shift, and are they going to have 12-hour shifts, or?
No, I'd have to go back and look at the study, but we do have a scheduling format already worked out by
Okay.
the consultants, and you know, initially it will require additional dispatchers to
Right.
be able to absorb the additional calls. But yeah, we have all of that based on the study of exactly what it's going to be.
Rudy's gone, so I can't ask him if we can
He's
afford
here.
it.
He's back there.
Oh, can we absorb more employees in a year? Everything's looking good.
Mayor, Council, we're getting ready to have a meeting on Thursday, I believe, to discuss the additional costs on this. It'll have to be included in the budget, and then we'll work through it at that point in time.
Okay.
So we'll make it work as best as possible. It's not a project that we're going to take lightly and just shelf it. We don't have we've never taken on a project and just put it up on the shelf. So we will try to figure some way to fund it. Part of it is we will be looking for some sort of financial package for both the building as well as all the technology that's going to go into it. So we won't be using up, hopefully not very much of our cash or reserves right up front.
So don't go away.
Okay.
Right now, we're using the repeater or the satellite that Sedona has, right? Are we going to put our own up there for our own facility?
Well, and that's another item we're going to be coming to the council on is there's a lot of questions about what they call the telecom structure. Who owns what is grant funded, and so consequently public domain, and what is ours. And so we're actually going to be looking at trying to bring somebody in to help us determine exactly what is ours, what do we own, what does somebody else own, and how do we make this all work.
Well, I know we've been on a roller coaster since, well, for the last number of years. There was one point where they were going to just close it down and send us to Prescott, and then another time they were going to send us to Flagstaff. So that's when we really got serious and decided we needed to bring it here so we could take care of our own citizens. So, and then I've done the tour. People have heard this before. We've got water sprinklers over all this equipment in 5 or 6 different rooms back there. It's all antiquated. So I've been on board with this from day one, as Rudy and Doug know, and Diane and anybody else on the council. So as long as we can do this, I think that we really seriously need to look into it. We need to get it closer to here, because Prescott and Flag are not an option. They don't know our community like our dispatchers would. But the cross-training is really important, because sometimes you just hear all these calls going out, and I'd go crazy. I wouldn't have any hair left. I'd look like Rudy.
We're actually going to try and get you to volunteer. Since you listen to that thing all the night, you should just be putting the call in.
It's a pretty thorough report, but those were my questions, but thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions, council members?
You know, Mayor, I'd just add to the Vice Mayor's question that's one of the things we're talking about, is being able to ramp up with dispatchers, additional dispatchers before the center comes online, because there's easily 6 to 9 month training period that we've got to run them through, and so we're going to need to be ramping up and get ready for when we do go into operation. They essentially move from this building and walk across to the new building and start up operation, and we need to be fully staffed.
Well, I'm sure I'm not my son's favorite person right now, because I'm fully behind this, and he works for Sedona Fire Dispatch. So, but it's the best thing for our citizens here in Cottonwood. It really is. Thanks.
Well, we have dispatch openings here pretty soon.
That's even going to be talk about tear your hair out, I mean, in that small space already, and then trying to train for the new space. That's going to take some planning, and But you have great staff there, and I'm sure they're up to the challenge.
Had a lot of meetings, and I anticipate we'll have many more.
Mhm. We did have a citizen who'd like to speak on item number 4, Frank Henry.
Frank Henry from Cottonwood. I have 2 questions. The one question is, we're talking about subscribers, and my first reaction when I saw that word was, everybody who dials in 911 is a subscriber. And I don't think that's what you meant. Is that right or wrong?
No, Madam Mayor, council members, the subscriber would be the agency. So the citizen doesn't get charged anymore.
Okay.
This is just where, you know, when there's a call dispatched to an agency, that agency out of their budget, and they pay for dispatch services anyway, they would pay $54 a call.
Okay, then the other question, the reverse question of that is, what is our 911 and alarm system communication coming in to this new communication center? What is the geographic define of that area?
And again, Mayor, Council, that would need to be, that's what we're trying to determine essentially by who is going to subscribe. We know it's going to be Cottonwood. We anticipate that Clarkdale will probably stay on in terms of their police department. We're not sure about their fire department. We dispatch for Jerome. You know, we would hope their fire department would come on board as well. But again, we're opening this up to the entire Verde Valley. And ultimately, it would be nice to see all the public safety agencies dispatched out of one center, because not only does it provide increased efficiencies and better service to citizens, by the studies that we had done, it clearly saves money.
Yeah, what I'm seeing is a potential for intergovernmental agreements, if you will, or even a 911 special political division, subdivision, if you will, to help support the building of this structure in the city of Cottonwood. But the folks in Cottonwood should not be the only ones stuck with carrying that load. Everyone who is benefiting should get a piece of that action and also get a piece of the consumption action. Just like when you get a water hookup, electric hookup, or phone hookup, you pay 2 parts to that bill. One, just a hookup charge, and what that buys you is a building and warm bodies at the other end to operate it. And the second part is the per call or per consumption part. So that's what you really should be looking at for carrying the full boat for everybody who benefits. That's question 1.
And I can respond to that.
Sure.
That's essentially what the subscriber rate is. So for each agency out there, whether it's a fire district or a municipality, they collect taxes to provide dispatch services.
Mhm.
And so everybody who uses the Cottonwood service will be paying for it.
Okay, the second part is in the write-up, the backup data that was online, it made reference, and you brought it up also, that it would bring forth improvements, and one of the improvements is in response time. Have you made a study that, like right now, the response time is anywhere from 5 minutes to 20 minutes for an emergency vehicle to get on site? Will the response time go down to 4 minutes to 15 minutes or something like that, or is it a non-quantitative value at this time?
No, we'd be able to do that, but our response time to emergency calls is much better than that.
Yeah, I picked numbers out of it.
Yeah, it's probably
Yeah.
somewhere under 5 minutes. I don't know if these guys have the exact number, but probably more so for the fire department, because as I explained, the public safety, the 911 answering point is here in this building.
Yeah.
If we get a fire 911 call, now we have to ship it up to Sedona Fire Department, who dispatches our fire department to the call. So you do.
So that's a half minute wasted.
Yeah, at least.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments. We appreciate citizen participation. Okay, so any other questions on this item? If not, I would entertain a motion.
I move to approve the recommended public safety dispatch subscriber model for the new Public Safety Communications Center.
Second.
Okay, Councilmember Alinsky made the motion. Councilmember Dowling seconded it. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, item number 5 is the design proposal from Arrington Watkins Architects, LLC, for the proposed Public Safety Communications Center. Mr. Manjapan.
Madam Mayor, members of the council, we're coming to you tonight for the approval to proceed with a contract for the design of the Emergency Communications Center. I don't think I have to explain a whole lot about what we're trying to do with that. I think we'd already covered most of that. We had a scope that was outlined by IXP, and we used that as part of the description for our request for qualifications when we went out to hire the architects for this project. We had 15 firms that submitted statements of qualifications for this project. We had a review committee that consisted of myself, other members of community development staff, fire and police departments, as well as even finance, that sat in on the selection process. We narrowed it down to 3 firms based on their experience doing these type of facilities. Of the 3 firms, we had them come in for interviews and ranked them 1, 2, and 3. Top ranked firm was Arrington Watkins out of Phoenix. They've done several 911 centers larger than ours, and they've just finished up one that's very similar to ours for the city of Goodyear. The design's complete. They've already had the groundbreaking, and it's under construction right now. So we're hoping to really key off of the fact that they've done something very similar to help us expedite the schedule and get this project going. They gave us an initial proposal. We sat down with them, went through it, de-scoped it quite a bit for some of the services that they were suggesting, and we thought we either had it covered in another form or didn't think we needed it. Interior design, scope, estimating firm on the architect side, because we are planning on doing this construction manager at risk, and I'll be coming to you in the next month or so with a proposal for hiring a construction manager. They'll be doing the estimating for us during the design process. So there was some redundancy and some overlap that we were able to work and delete out of their scope. So the proposal we have right now is for $197,125 for their scope of work, and that's everything through and up to starting construction. Construction administration phase, we'll negotiate with them at a later date, mostly because we're not quite sure exactly what the scope of that will be until we get into the final design and get into the construction. Contract is written as a not to exceed for all the amounts, so those would be the worst case numbers. If they don't spend the money for the design portion of different categories, we won't get charged for it. I did have one correction on the motion, just before I forget this. I think it's some of the cutting and pasting going through the new system. It got duplicated. After the price in the motion, we have with the architect's fee not to exceed. That should be crossed out because it should just go with the numbers and then including sub-consultants and reimbursable expenses. I think we messed up with the cut and paste, and I didn't catch it when it finally got into the system.
Well, I think I can speak to that, and if that's your recommendation, that's fine. But I think the addition was carrying the proposed architect's fee into that as a sub-cap of the architect's proposed amount of $96,605.
I'm not sure I understand.
In the attachment to the communication form that you and the council have, There's a summary, and the breakdown of the 197, 125 includes 96,605 for the architect, 90,520 for consultants, and 10 is reimbursable.
Oh, okay.
So we have a hard cap for everything of the 197, 125, and then a sub cap, at least in the motion as I altered it, representing the architect's fee.
Okay, but the contract we write will be with the architect, and it will be for that 197 total. Okay.
Right.
I just wanted, that's where I was afraid that we were getting
Right.
some duplication. Okay, great. Then forget what I just said about changing it. I didn't realize where that had come from. If there's any specific questions, I can go over that.
Me again.
Yes.
When we talked about this before, we weren't going to furnish it totally. We were going to set up stations with wiring and conduit and all of that stuff. And if someone subscribed on, then we were going to go ahead and we're not going to have a lot of equipment, right? It's just sitting at stations without subscribers?
Right.
Is that correct?
Correct. And that's where we talk about the scope. The first paragraph, we talk about starting out with 4 dispatch positions with potential growth to 8.
Okay.
And then we also talk about, we're going to try to lay it out so that we can, if we get more participants, more subscribers, we could then add to the building to allow more room for more consoles.
Okay, that was
So
my
initially,
next
we can add to it without adding, we could add stations, we could add personnel without adding to the building.
Okay.
But eventually, it might get to the point where we want to add to the building if we get enough subscribers. We don't want to be disrupting the space to do the addition while they're trying to work in it. So we'll come up with a sequence on how that can work.
Okay.
I just have an observation that I do recognize several local names in the subcontractors list, so even if the main contractor's not in town, at least they're making an effort to get some locals.
Correct. Civil, structural, and landscape are all local. Shepherd Witness is here in town, the structural engineer and the landscape architect are out of Sedona. And we specifically worked with them to try to get them to use some of the local sub-consultants. It's just, in the facility of this type, it's hard to find firms that have a lot of experience in this type of facility. The closest next type of experience would be if they've done a lot of data center work or that type of facility. Well, around here, we don't do that often. So it took going down to Phoenix with firms that have done several of the 911 centers down there to get that kind of experience.
Any other questions or comments? Comments from the public? I would entertain a motion at this point.
Everyone's scared to make it now that the attorney got
involved in it.
I'll attempt
Forget
to.
everything I said.
I'm just going to read it verbatim, and we'll find out.
Well, and when you get to the part not to exceed in the second part, we'll insert a number.
Oh, okay, I see. So I move to approve the proposal submitted by Arrington Watkins Architects LLC for the design of the Emergency Communications Center for a not-to-exceed amount of $197,125, with the architect's fee not to exceed
$96,605.
$96,605, including sub-consultants and reimbursable expenses.
Second.
Councilmember Elinsky made the motion, the vice mayor seconded it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
We found out tonight if we make a mistake, we can always bring it back, right? Okay, but I assume that this has been vetted by our attorney, and thank you very much.
Yes, and what we've done is there's, just to summarize, there's a total not to exceed amount, but there are the architect's fee, the pass-through costs of others the architect will hire to help perform the scope, and then there's up to $10,000 in reimbursable expenses. So each of those will be capped separately, as well as the hard cap, which increases the chances that we'll come in under budget for this.
Good. We like that. Okay.
Rudy trained us well.
All right. And so, we did the all in favor? Did we do that? Okay, so we're done? All right, moving on. Special service agreement with Four Coyotes Production LLC for the 2013 Thunder Valley Rally. And I understand that we're going to table this item, or you're requesting that we table it for this meeting?
Yes, Madam Mayor, if you could table it. We have another option that just came to us very recently that we're looking at. And
okay.
we want to make sure that we present the best possible option to the council.
So I would just make a motion that we table it. Do you need a motion or just direction?
You can, as the chair, just table it.
Okay, so we'll table it.
Thank
All
you.
right, moving on to item number 7, resolution number 2691, declaring and adopting the results of the primary election held on March 12, 2013. And we have Matt McLean, our deputy clerk, who's going to explain this item.
Basically, this is just accepting the final results from the March 12th primary election that was performed by Yavapai County. Per the results, 2 candidates were elected outright in the primary. That was Randy Garrison and Vice Mayor Pfeiffer. And 2 more candidates will be in the runoff on May 21st. That's Councilmember Alinsky and Councilmember Norman. And Darrell Smith did not get enough votes.
And as I understand it, the city attorney can help a little bit. The reason we just have 2 for the runoff election is because
By statute, you, in a runoff, have no more than twice as many candidates as seats there are to be filled.
Thank you. Any other questions by the council? Yes. Oh, yes, Mr. Henry had a comment, and he has already filled out his form.
You're almost right. Frank Henry, Cottonwood. You could have rolled to a roll call and say, vote. But the point I want to bring up is the folks over at the election center, they mailed out 5,389 ballots. At least that's what they said. And 303 of those ballots bounced back because they were undeliverable. Now, of the ballots that reached their respective mailboxes throughout the city of Cottonwood, 1,721 made it back to the counting center over in Prescott. 15 of those got bounced for cause. In other words, they didn't sign it, or the ballot wasn't in the envelope, whatever the reason is. There's a legitimate list of bouncing out ballots, and it was 15. It's ironic that the 303 that never made it to a given home might have been the 300 votes that gave Smith 1,000 vote count. We have a system that's unknown, and we're trusting, which is, in my opinion, is purely unconstitutional. We need a system where human beings cast the votes and human beings count the votes. And for the price we probably paid Prescott, because we pay them a fee, well, we don't get this for nothing. They're nice people, and they are nice people, but they won't do it for nothing. We probably could do our own voting, print our own ballots, and we will have 100% certainty, confidence that the vote count is correct, that the ballots issued is correct, because we have eyewitnesses saw it and see it being done. Right now, we don't have that. My constitutional rights and your constitutional rights and every member on this board, constitutional rights, and the staff and the people out in the audience are being denied by this system. So the only thing you boards, you folks can do at this time is proceed with the process, but maybe you want to consider putting together a resolution to send to the legislators to allow you to vote locally, not unless you already have that horsepower to do your own voting, and you'll be clean. Please and thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments. Any other comments from the public, members of the public? If not, I'd entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to accept the final results of the city's March 12, 2013 primary election as submitted by the Yavapai County Elections Department and approve Resolution 2691, declaring and adopting the results of the election.
Second.
Councilmember Alinsky made the motion. Councilmember Norman seconded it. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, the next item is item number 8, continuation or elimination.
She could read it.
Oh, sorry about that. I'm just trying to skip that every time tonight, but you caught me again. Deputy Clerk, please read resolution number 2691 by title only.
Resolution number 2691, a resolution of the mayor and city council of the city of Cottonwood, Yavapai County, Arizona, declaring and adopting the results of the primary election held on March 12, 2013. Madam Mayor.
Thank you very much. All right, item number 8, continuation or elimination of the Judicial Review and Appointments Advisory Board. So this is something that I'm bringing to the council for consideration. As you know, I guess it was in 2008, we created the Judicial Review and Appointments Advisory Board. And this is to review the candidates for judicial office or our magistrate, and to evaluate incumbent magistrates and to make recommendations to the council about retaining them in office. And it's been a very well-intended concept, and it was born of the idea, I guess, of the separation of powers and all of that. But in practice, we have to make those decisions, and the state statute remands us to do that. We're to do it. So the service of the board has been greatly appreciated. They've done a fantastic job. We do right now, with Mr. Garrison having been elected, we'll be one more person down. I forget what, is Iris, she's not still here. Oh, Iris is still here. How many members do we have right now, Ms. Dobler? And how many are we going to have to recruit?
I believe we have 4 right now, and we have to recruit 3.
Okay. And you've advertised this for a while?
No, I haven't.
Okay, you haven't advertised. Okay. So she hasn't tried to recruit. So with Mr. Garrison, will it be 4 now that you have to recruit?
Yes.
Instead, okay, so we have 3 members without him. Okay, so I've been thinking that it's kind of redundant, and then it just causes the staff to make a lot of work. And then, she does all of that with this commission, and then it comes back and you do it again with the council. So I just wanted to bring it to the council to talk about it, discuss it, see what you all think about, whether it is being redundant, whether it causes our staff members a great amount of extra work that might be unnecessary, and just to talk about it. I guess my recommendation is to disband it, but still, in appreciating all of their work and their expertise, hopefully having Iris or our staff member being able to call on them and ask questions or get comments, still and rely on that expertise if she needs it. But it is up to the council, not me, and so that's why I brought it, and you can discuss it. I know that I believe Ms. Dobler had a meeting with the members, and they felt that it had value. So that is something to take into consideration.
And Madam Mayor, I did speak with the judge on the phone this afternoon, and we've let him know that he was certainly welcome, and the council may want to know his thoughts on this. And what he conveyed to you through me was that he trusts the judgment of the council in this, and he had no strong preference one way or the other, whether he was reviewed by the JRAB first and then ultimately by the council, or initially by the council.
And I would like to just thank Steve for assisting me with this and kind of answering a lot of my own questions as to create this document so that the council can weigh everything and make up its own mind as a body on the issue. So are there any questions by members of the council on this item or comments?
I'll just say that I did appreciate their review and their findings when we reviewed our last magistrate, or when we were reviewing as well, but when we were searching for a magistrate. But I understand that it is ultimately the council's decision, and we are the ones that need to make that decision. So, though I think their findings were consistent with how we felt, I could see that it would save a lot of staff time as well, and that's sort of a benefit to the city and the citizens ultimately.
Well, Madam Mayor, to Mr. Olipsky's point, and this is something I omitted from that communication form, what I would anticipate in the case of a vacancy, this is sort of coming up in the context of a biannual review, but in the case where the city was recruiting for a presiding magistrate, I'd anticipate forming an ad hoc search committee to perform that initial screening recruitment function and then bring candidates to the council.
Right.
And also, I mean, in the public process, all of the members of that board would have definitely an opportunity to come and get information, share information on however they feel, as all members of the public are able to do too. But we do have, Mary Eichmann is a member of the board, and Randy Garrison, and I would invite you, if you want to make any comments, you're certainly welcome to do so. Either.
You go first.
Anybody?
Certainly, Mr. Osher,
What
if
is
you.
the main function of this?
Are you, Mr. Osher, you
My
need.
name is Jules Osher. Can I get up here?
Yes, please. In order to record for the minutes.
My name is Jules Osher, a resident of Cottonwood. What is the purpose of the Judicial Review and Appointments Advisory? Is it mainly people who are going to assume an office, or is it for propositions or proposals?
It's to hire and review the city magistrate.
I think it should be reviewed, yes.
Yes, and the council has to do that per Arizona revised statutes. It's, we already have our direction from the state, I guess. Is that how I understand it?
Well, I think.
And from city code.
Functionally, yeah, it's the city code establishes the office of magistrate and provides, we have to employ a magistrate for a minimum 2-year term, and during or between those terms, it's the council's prerogative to evaluate the magistrate's performance and decide to renew that person for another term or to seek a different magistrate.
What's the fee, the cost to the?
That's a salary. The magistrate's employed by the city.
Well, I mean, how much would it cost for the year or two of the term for the magistrate? You say they have to be paid and hired, or just hired?
Oh, no, of course. The magistrate's a paid position, if that's what you're asking.
How much does it cost the city?
I believe the magistrate's salary is about $90,000 a year.
90,000?
Yes.
Forget it.
Ms. Eichmann?
Yes, I'm Mary Eichmann, Madam Mayor and Council, and I have been on this board as well as a couple other boards for the city. And we worked doing that evaluation. We spent quite a bit of time working on it. And there were lots of forms gathered, different surveys gathered from attorneys and whatever by the magistrate himself and by our process. And so as far as I'm concerned, my feelings would not be hurt if that board was disbanded, because if we were reviewing everything and then turning it to you to do the same job, after city employees did put in a lot of work time being involved with it, it does seem a bit like a duplicate effort.
Thank you.
But I wouldn't mind doing it, continuing if that's what you decide. but-
Okay, thank you for your input. Mr. Garrison?
Now I get rebuttal.
Randy Garrison, Cottonwood. I've had the pleasure and the honor of being on this committee since it was formed, and knowing that I'll soon be sitting on that side of the table kind of brings this to a mixed emotions on how to move forward. I value the work and the commitment the committee takes in doing the job it does, and it seems, and I know Iris isn't going to like this, I really think there's a need for this committee to continue to exist. I think we probably need to look at the system on how you take the work that we do into the work that you do and see if there isn't a way to streamline that process. But I know when we were first put together as a committee, our first task was to pick a new magistrate for the city, which I think we went through 43 applications, and my stack was easily a foot thick, and it took a ton of time, and I can't imagine, luckily you haven't had to endure that over again, but if that happens again, to do your job plus do that job is just horrendous. And so I think it's a valuable group. I like the idea of the separation of powers. It gives you that out. It gives you an impartial third party. It's the only time I've sat around a table with a group of lawyers and not felt really bad when I left, and that's rare. So it was a neat experience. It was an educational experience, and I believe there's value to the group. I just think there maybe needs to be a change in the way you take the information that group brings to you and how you process it. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. So any questions or comments from council members?
I kind of like the idea of having the committee because, like Mr. Garrison just said, you've got lawyers on that committee that know a little bit more about how things should be done and how they shouldn't, and they can kind of visualize whether it's being done correctly or incorrectly. So maybe the streamlining would be something that we could work on and still have them as an advisory group.
One thing about it is, no matter what they say, it's our responsibility and our job, even if we don't agree with them, to...
But it's good to have their input.
Mm-hmm.
I think.
Yes,
Also,
Mr. Elinsky?
I think there's been a history of retaining our judges for a long time here. I mean, anyway, we're required every 2 years we're required to retain them for 2 years. Is that correct?
That's correct, unless you change it. I know the judge has suggested that perhaps the council might consider a longer term for the magistrate, but that's the council's prerogative. You can't go below 2 years, but you can go above it.
And I think my point is that, you know, if we were to look for a new magistrate, then we might form, like you said, an ad hoc committee. But to keep a committee formed, which requires a lot of staff time, just to review every 2 years, you know, our sitting magistrate, maybe it's a waste of time.
So if we created, like, if we wanted to create an ad hoc committee, say if we were going to hire a new magistrate at some point in the future, with legalities, how would that work?
What I would envision is when that need arises, staff would come to you and ask you to, and this happened when we went out for a prosecutor or for other services, we would ask the council to review what our recommendation for a process is, and then you would tell us yes, no, or here's how we'd like that changed. Then we would implement that process and then come back to you with either a recommendation or a group of folks to interview, whatever you directed.
And it is, I mean, when, at the end of the day, it's our job.
So how often does the committee meet now? Just whenever there's a review?
Review or hiring or processing applications for a new manager.
So what would the difference be in having this committee do that job or appointing an ad hoc committee to do it when it's needed?
I guess I see the difference is if the only function you'd want a committee or this committee to perform is to help screen applicants when there's a vacancy, then it's hard to keep that. It's like keeping a committee in a vacuum because we don't know when the need for their service will arise.
Gotcha.
So it'd be hard to know that they're still around if we may not need them for 6, 8 years.
And then Iris is constantly having to do the work of getting people to, of advertising and going through the whole process of the application process, and so that even takes
Even though they're not really needed right away.
Yeah, she's still got to keep that committee full and active and even meet, I guess, I guess there's no requirements for meeting every so often, it's just whenever you need them.
So,
But right now the committee's down to going on 3 people, and if our magistrate's coming up, and if we want to do this, she's got to find 4 people for this committee. I mean, it just gets to be a challenge.
Right.
So, Jesse?
Okay, I guess I have just a couple questions. I wasn't here when we approved that one. You say they started off with 43 applications, or they went through 43 Did the council at that point go through all 43 as well, or did they winnow out some and then come up with a final one that was selected?
I'm trying to remember.
I think we came up with a final 5.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
We did.
Yeah,
So
they
there was
whittled
a
through 'em.
winnowing out. Have we quantified yet have we quantified the actual cost of this? As in, I mean, I know it's taking staff time, but do we know, is this, have we quantified it? Do we know how much staff time it takes? Is this something that's, like, that we put a number on? Is there a checkbox somewhere? Is there a billable for this so that we know we're spending $1,000 a year on it or $10 a year?
I don't know that we have that, but I mean, we have, I guess if you look at Iris's job duties, and I don't know how much overtime she puts in for
Right.
free because she's an exempt, right? Does she get paid for overtime? No. And so, you know, if she's doing extra things that are causing her to be
Right.
at work longer than she needs to be, this might be something that we don't need to have her be doing.
Because I'm evaluating it in my head, and I understand it might be superfluous, but then I think it'd be, having to gather a new group together every time we might need one versus having one ready to go. Even if it's a partial group, I don't know how much better off you'll be with that as, in relation to, at least you have a core group and then you can grab a few more versus having to go out and get 7 people at the drop of a hat.
And if it's an ad hoc committee, you wouldn't, what is that? Oh, if it's an ad hoc committee, I mean, it wouldn't be as, what word am I trying to?
It's organized?
Well, that, or there wouldn't be as many requirements. And also, it wouldn't necessarily be directly under the council, kind of like it is. I mean, it might be something staff did to get us a recommendation or something, or how would that work?
I think that's right. I think what staff would do if there was a vacancy is propose to bring interested citizens into the process. Like I know Doug, for the school superintendent, they want other stakeholders in the community, the district does, to participate in the selection of a new school superintendent. Similarly, I think we would go out into the community and see who would be interested, who represents different stakeholder groups in our municipal justice system to participate in reviewing those 40-some-odd applications or however many we get the next time a vacancy comes up and help screen those out and together with city staff bring the council a manageable set of applications to consider.
But the people that are on the committee now, if it's disbanded, they could be the top 2 or 3 that you would contact when needed and then add to it, if they're still interested.
And I'm sure that Iris, if she was setting up an ad hoc committee, would go to those applications first, because she has that information right there, and call those people, because they would be people that she knew, or, you know, if it doesn't get to be too long before we need them, because it could be a long time before.
And knowing that should it be the council's pleasure, this may not come up for a very long time, because my understanding currently is for as long as the council is willing, this judge intends on staying in Cottonwood for a while.
And if not, we could do an ad hoc, and if we needed one, and so,
Mayor,
Mr.
Council,
Rodriguez?
this is, we've already done this once before, not necessarily with this committee, but if you may recall, we started analyzing or reviewing some of our other committees. We ended up getting, disbanding the Employee Benefits Trust Board. We recently did the
Senior Commission.
The Senior Commission. One, it makes it very difficult for us. There seems to be just a limited amount of people that we can get in boards. As a matter of fact, we probably have several individuals that are on multiple boards, and we seem to always call them, you know, two that come to mind is Ed Kyler and Jay Gonzalez. They seem, every time we need them, they serve on several of our boards and several of our committees, but it's getting more and more difficult to get people that will sit on committees for these things, and hence is why we're also not keeping committees that are kind of pretty much inactive and do ad hoc recruiting rather than keeping people on boards that seldom, if ever, meet.
And again, adding that then Iris has got, gosh, Mayor, I've got 3 people on this committee I need to recruit, and, you know, this is coming up, and what should I do? And so it's a continuing conversation, and I said, well, I can't make the decision without the council. You know, I know what I think would work best, but it's the council. And I would go along, of course, with the majority of the council, but the council has to decide this, not me.
Okay.
Vice Mayor?
This is one communication right here. Multiply that times every council member on here and the staff time to get us this kind of information with one communication. That's a lot of work, that's a lot of staff time, and I haven't been able to get through all of it myself, so it is redundant because it'll come to us in meetings and we'll find it then. So
well, that's quantified.
That's just, yeah, that's just one example. Like I said, times 7 times 3 more or 5 more or whatever it takes. Yep. That's a lot.
Yes, Ms. Eichmann?
I would just like to add a comment to Mr. Garrison's comment about somehow his feelings when he's around a table of attorneys. I've been around tables of attorneys. I've testified for them in court. I am not nervous. I get a good feeling when I'm around a table of attorneys. I want our attorney to know. And so therefore, the same way with police officers. Some people feel uncomfortable in the presence of police officers, and I'm not either. So this might be one little problem with finding people for this particular committee. Some people might not want to tell the judge, I didn't appreciate the way you did this, for fear they'll be in court in front of him in a couple weeks, you know. So I think this would be a particularly difficult committee to find people to be on.
Citizen representatives, yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to make
Thank
that
you.
comment. But I just wanted to compliment our attorney also.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Garrison.
No, you're absolutely right. One thing I wanted to add was picking the original judge was a huge endeavor, but another large portion of the job we did was creating a system of accountability. You know, questionnaires, lists of groups of people that we sent out questionnaires to, so that we could get back a fair representation of the job that the judge was doing, so we could critique and give them their evaluation, which was then passed on to you. That work has been done twice, and I think by the time we got done this time, we had a really good system in place. So that's one thing that you could take away if you choose not to continue this committee is Iris has a very good layout or a very good model of how to start doing that and bringing that information directly back to you, because we put a lot of work into creating it. So that would be a benefit, and it would further serve where you're going, regardless of whether you have us in between you and that person or not. So
Good thoughts.
Thank you.
And Ms. Dobler? Jules, just a minute. Ms. Dobler is coming up. You're next. Mr. Osher.
Just one comment that I think there's another step of redundancy here, and that would have to be changed, I think, and Randy could probably agree to this. The questionnaire that the JRAB sent out to many people was essentially the same questionnaire that the judge himself gives out to attorneys and people who are in the court. So I'd like some of that to change if we continue with either the JRAB or some form of it.
Okay, thank you. Yes, Mr. Osher?
I don't hear the way I may have been answering already, but what is the ultimate advantage, it may have been addressed, of this service? Apparently it's streamlined now. And secondly, I guess years ago when this council started, it was volunteer, people cared and had knowledge and ability. Now everything has to be across the board paid, and you pay more to get the best. That may or may not be the best, but that's the way it is. Okay. I'd like some comment, please.
Mr. Usher, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Yeah, I was going to ask, are you asking if the people who are volunteering get paid to do this function?
I'm talking, well...
These are just citizen volunteers that are helping select a judge who actually will get paid for his job. Okay. I'm just trying to make sure I would clarify that.
Well, then, clarification.
And I think there's a few city staff that are involved with it, but they aren't paid to do that full time.
I understand. Okay.
Oh, okay. And I just want to clarify that for myself.
Okay. That clarifies it. Thank you.
Thank you for the question. So, any other comments from members of the public on this item?
I'll make a motion, we'll see where it lands. I'll make a motion to eliminate the Judicial Review and Appointments Advisory Board.
Second.
Okay, so Mr. Elinsky made the motion, Mr. Howdiggy seconded it. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. So is that, do we need to bring it back again, or is?
Madam Mayor, this will come back in a form that I think will precipitate a comment from Mr. Pratt, because it will be in the form of an ordinance deleting from the city code the section that sets out, that establishes the JRAB, sets forth its duties and responsibilities. So that'll come out of the code. Staff has the direction we need to conduct the current, or to facilitate the current review cycle for the judge, because as you mentioned, Madam Mayor, the judge's term, current 2-year term, ends nominally in the middle of April, but I expect he will hold over in office while we complete this current review process. But shortly we'll have an ordinance for you to consider to accomplish what I think Council's direction just was.
So we'll have a first and second reading?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much. So the next item, the next item is the claims. Claims and adjustments. I make a motion to approve the claims.
Second.
The mayor made the motion, Mr. Dowling seconded it. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? I move to adjourn.
Second.
Second.
The mayor made the motion and Councilmember Norman seconded it. We're adjourned.